Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with Ryan Madrid. Thank you, VIP Mortgage, for allowing us to have this awesome space here to do our podcast. And thank you to Trey for doing the engineering work, and Trisha Madrid, my sister, for over there doing the podcast production, amongst many other things that she does. Excuse me. So we are a podcast not just about real estate, even though we are in the real estate business as mortgage bankers. We're a podcast that was trying to have people on that do cool stuff in and outside of the real estate business. So entrepreneurs, nonprofit, just business owners, and
random
friends
people.
And cool people doing cool things, and people that work for the same company that we work for, and people outside of our company. So this is the first person that we've had on the podcast that's actually not a loan officer that works for VIP Mortgage. So we are going to bring on today, well, she's here already, Carol Taylor. She is our CMO, Chief Marketing Officer here at VIP Mortgage, and she has been, I'm going to toot her horn because I was late. I'm just kidding. She is single-handedly brought the marketing department to a whole nother level. And so my first question for you, Carol, is do you remember the first time we talked?
I do. You called me about the logo. See, you didn't think I was going to remember that.
Damn,
and you were
answer.
like, you called me because I was in Tucson, and you said, someone told me I should call you because I hate the logo. And I said, I hate the logo too.
Yeah,
and that was the first time we talked.
We don't hate the logo, Jay. We love it.
Oh, but see, I didn't say which logo.
I meant
I was being very ambiguous.
she was talking about Vippin.
I was talking about Budweiser. I can't stand those stupid Clydesdales.
We don't hate the logo. We just thought it was time for like a rebrand.
A refresh.
Right. It's 15 years this company's been
Pretty
around.
standard that companies refresh.
Do that.
Yes.
A lot of huge companies do that. So you were the only person that was truly doing like a marketing role, and it happened to be in Tucson. So now you are the CMO for the entire company. So your role has changed, obviously.
But we still have the same logo.
Yeah.
Jay doesn't watch these, does he?
No. Isn't kidding me? I'm just not, I know he knows I do them, but he doesn't. So typically, before we get into like all like the current stuff, we don't dive heavily into the past for people because we found it kind of got boring. But
long.
Yeah, long. But for you, I kind of wanted to do that because it's so weird to me to know when I look at you, I think of like the Durango mountain town snowboarder girl. But your history is really not that. And so diving into a little bit of like where you grew up and how you grew up and how you ended up being this totally other person.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go. So let's talk about where you're from and start from there. So you're from Chicago?
Well, I grew up in a town called
Illinois?
Wilmette, which is just north of Chicago. It's in the North Shore. It's a suburb.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Okay. And
I didn't like it there. And what?
So like what kind of like what?
Oh,
was
like
it
my upbringing.
Yeah.
So I'm from a Jewish family, and
That's what I meant.
I know you didn't want to say it.
No, I didn't.
And I didn't. I mean, it's really true that I really didn't have a close non-Jewish friend until I left home. I mean, I grew up in a very insulated Jewish community. My school, which was a public school, was closed on Jewish holidays because there was that many Jewish kids. Everyone on my street was Jewish. Went to Jewish summer camp. And
was it like total suburban Illinois?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was a nice place to grow up, you know, but I knew from a very young age I didn't want to live there, which I say, and it sounds bizarre, but it's the truth. I remember I was like 7 or 8. We went on vacation, went to Colorado. And I told my dad, I said, I'm going to live here. This is where I want to live. And he's like, all right. And from that age on, that's the only place I ever wanted to live. So I grew up in that space and in that world, but I knew I didn't belong there. And I understand that sounds bizarre because most people don't experience that, but that was my experience.
Yeah.
So did what I was supposed to do. And the second I graduated high school, I was out, and I've never lived there again.
Does your family live there?
It sounds rather depressing, but a large amount of my family passed away within about a 10-year period. Okay. So I do have family there, but not much. My sister lives in New Jersey. I have some cousins, some aunts and stuff that still live there. But
so you're like, your mindset was like you went to Colorado and you're like, I just feel good
It was
in this
home,
sort
yeah.
of like spot. I feel like I kind of always did that with Flagstaff, even though it's
It doesn't
different.
matter,
And-
but you still have your place.
right? Like I just felt better being in like a mountain.
I just
sort of
felt
town.
like myself.
Yeah.
And I never really felt like that in Wilmette. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like I was some outcast, but maybe I was, and I just didn't know it. I don't know. But I had a good childhood. There was nothing wrong with my life. I just knew I didn't belong there.
Right.
I knew that I was supposed to do something else.
So after you graduated from high school, you moved to Colorado.
I moved to Colorado, and I ended up in Steamboat Springs.
Okay,
and-
so this was the question I was going to
Yeah.
ask you. So, Steamboat or Durango?
Oh, that's a tough one. I loved Steamboat. I loved Steamboat for a lot of reasons. I went to Colorado Mountain College, which was just awesome. It would be closed on powder days, and you'd see your professors up there, and you're like, hey, what's
Yeah.
up? And then, so like the skiing is Steamboat, because Steamboat Mountain is just,
It's
It's amazing. It's the best snow. It's just a
Yeah.
great town.
Yep.
But the people and my life is in Durango. So, yeah.
So, but okay, so let's back up. So you
Yeah.
went to college
Went
in
to college,
Steamboat, and then you ended up going to college at Fort Lewis.
I did.
right?
So I graduated from Colorado Mountain. Well, I spent 3 years at a 2-year school, and my dad said, you are kind of being a loser, and I've been supporting you being a loser, but I need you to stop being a loser. And I'm saying that in a funny way, but that really was the direction of the
I get it.
conversation. Yeah. And I figured that going to Durango was very similar to Steamboat, except there was a 4-year college there,
Mm-hmm.
so I could transfer and still kind of have that same lifestyle, and that's what I did. So I moved down to Durango. But an interesting side note, because this is important to the whole life picture, is when I was in Steamboat, my next door neighbor, his name was Jarrett Cook, and he was from a little town called Bayfield, which is about 20 miles east of Durango. And he is this farm kid, and we were as opposite as they come, and we just became really good friends. And his best friend from home was a guy named Buck Taylor. So I met Buck, who ended up, this is where the story goes, who ended up being my husband. But when he was 18 and I was 19, because Buck would come up and we'd all go skiing and hang out together in Steamboat.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you've been with it, Buck, for that long?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
All right,
I have
so you're
not been
just
with him.
friends.
We were friends
You
for
were
a long
friends.
time. But yeah, so
Okay.
anyway, so then I moved down to Durango and I
Yeah.
graduated from Fort Lewis.
So do you think that, like you said, because your people is in Fort Lewis because you spent way more time there?
Not
Because I
necessarily.
think Steamboat's like. So here's the tough thing. So you go to the mountain. You got Silverton and Purgatory, basically, right?
Well, no, and you also have Telluride and Wolf Creek. And
Right, but-
Telluride is amazing.
Telluride's amazing,
Oh
but
my
that's
God.
not. But that's not Durango.
No, it's not. But in terms of the skiing, because like when I was in college, there was a season pass for college students that was
Yeah.
$99. So for
Yeah.
$99, you could have unlimited. So we went to Telluride a
So
lot. But anyway.
take Telluride out of the equation
Okay,
because
we'll take-
Telluride's number one.
Yeah, Telluride's.
That's-
We'll all agree on that.
Yes, that's obvious.
okay.
But if you're going to Fort Lewis, you've got Purgatory
And Wolf Creek.
And Wolf Creek, okay. And then you're still like 10, 15 minutes to the town of Durango, right?
No, I lived in downtown
lived in
Durango.
downtown,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the tough part about Steamboat is the town's grown. It's cool now, but it's still not like Durango.
No, it's not. I mean, Durango's much
Yeah.
bigger. Steamboat, you're still kind of isolated in Steamboat. You're
Yeah.
3 hours from Denver.
Exactly.
You're a little isolated up there. So,
Sorry, everybody. I'm asking these questions because we are in a debate right now where we're going to do our boys trip this year.
oh, I'll
And
plan the whole
trying
thing
to
for you.
do-
Can I
I've
plan
been-
your whole trip?
No.
Oh,
You
should
can
go
be
to-
involved, though. You can be
She
involved.
also has is it a minor in tourism?
I do.
And resort
I do.
management, whatever?
I do.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're dealing with guys, the people that also are from Durango. And
because we have that connection
Yes.
with Brian
Yeah,
North,
yeah.
which is a very funny story too.
So my whole thing is that I went to Steamboat like 10 years ago, and it was one of the best days I've ever had, I think. And everybody that we're going with has never been to Steamboat.
So
And
if people have never been there, and I mean Steamboat, it's just the best snowboarding snow. And there's also, did you go to the hot springs up there, Strawberry Park Hot Springs?
no,
Oh, it's clothing optional, although the only nude people are elderly Germans. I don't know why that is. Like I had a whole conversation with an old man with his bobbing participle. But Steamboat's just amazing.
Yeah.
You can go snowmobiling. You can.
Yeah.
So
It's
like if you've
cool.
never been there, I would say Steamboat.
yeah. If we can't go to Telluride.
Oh, yeah, if we can't go to Telluride.
All right. So you end up going to Fort
I
Lewis.
did. Mhm.
And let's get into the snowboarding thing. So when
That was
did you
it was a big part of my life for a long time.
So you started snowboarding when you got to college?
Yeah, in Steamboat. And I mean, that's what we did. That was
Yeah.
our thing. I mean, you would have a ski pass and you'd snowboard 100 days a year.
Right.
And we're talking the early 90s or mid 90s when it was still kind of in its infancy,
Yeah.
I mean, and especially with female. There weren't a lot of female snowboarders at that time. And that was just what we did. That was my group of friends, and that was our entertainment. And then you get off the mountain, you party some more, and that was the lifestyle. And then I moved to Durango, and a lot of similarities down there. Yeah, and I was just in a group of friends, and we didn't just go to Durango. We would go to Wolf Creek, or we go to Telluride. We went to Loveland every year for opening day. I mean, that was the lifestyle.
Were you the only girl, part of your like friend group that wasn't like a?
In Steamboat, no. In Durango, yes.
Because I see you as a guy's.
Yeah, that's funny because the majority of my because I was raised by my dad, and so I've always maybe just felt more comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say in Durango it was a big group of guys. And, yeah.
Super similar to Flagstaff, it's just in a very smaller scale. But that's when I was trying to not force my kids to go there, but when I was trying to get Aiden to go up there and just have this life. Because
you want him to have that experience.
Because it was so fun to me that you can go snowboarding every day if you really wanted to, if you arrange your schedule correctly. And it's just a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And it's great exercise, and it's super fun, and it's something you can do for the rest of your life. So, all right. So after you graduate from college, you stay in Durango? Or
no, I left and I went and worked on cruise ships.
Okay, so how did that happen?
I had been in a long-term relationship, and the relationship ended, and it's like a country song. Breaking up with someone in a small town sucks. Right. It's really hard. So I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here. Yeah. So what better way to get the hell out of here than go work on cruise ships? And I ended up working. It was really interesting. For a company called Onboard Media, and they're based out of Miami, and their clients, they're an ad agency basically. Their clients are these high-end retail stores and ports of call all over the world, and so Onboard Media promotes those stores onboard the ships. Oh, okay. So my position is the port and shopping marketing manager, and Onboard Media paid for me to live and work on the ships promoting that shoreside shopping. So I would get up in front of 500 to 1,000 people and give a speech like, tomorrow we're going to be in Cartagena, and the thing to buy in Cartagena is emeralds, and let me tell you all about it. And that's what I did.
Damn.
Yeah.
And how old were you? 23?
23, 24. Yeah. I traveled all over.
It's a great first job. It's like
it was crazy because when I was offered the job, I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to live on a ship. He goes, you're stupid. He goes, you're going to do it, and if it sucks, 3 days later, call me and you'll fly back. But you've got to try it. Yeah. And it was an interesting situation for me because I didn't actually work for the cruise line, so I didn't have a curfew. I didn't have a dress code. I had my own cabin, so I had a very different experience. Yeah. Which was good and bad. A lot of the other employees had some animosity toward me because I was kind of living this life, and they're like, wearing crappy clothes and sleeping 4 to a room and eating gross food, and I'm eating like lobster and wearing gowns, so it was different for me. So yeah, that's what I did.
Do you think that like at 23 years old, standing up in front of 500 people doing that sort of stuff?
Never, it didn't faze me.
It didn't faze you at all?
No, not at all. And I had my own television show. So when you went to bed at night, you'd turn on and there I was again.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing about it is because of that, people would see me on the ship and they'd ask me weird, like, you're that chick on TV? And I'm like, yeah, like.
You're like famous? And
yeah,
I was. New people coming on?
I was cruise ship famous, yeah. Yes. And they'd be like, I have a question. Okay. Where do you buy plus-size lingerie in Barbados? Or my favorite one, when I was on an elevator, this lady goes, are you that chick on TV? And I said, yeah. And she goes, I've had terrible gas. And I'm like, well, the first thing I would do is get off the elevator. Yeah. Second thing is I can't help you with that.
I don't sell gas.
No, I don't sell Beano or whatever. So I was really lucky. It was an awesome experience. I did it for a while, for a couple of years.
They ran its course, though.
Yeah, I woke up. It did. I woke up one morning and I was in Alaska, and I was like, I can't do this for one more second. And so I got up in this little town in Alaska. I was in Ketchikan, Alaska, and I got on a plane. I flew to Anchorage, and then I flew to Chicago. And I sat in my dad's apartment in downtown Chicago for 2 weeks, like staring at the wall. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And I'd saved up money because I'd lived on a ship, and I didn't have any bills except for booze. Mm-hmm. And my dad said, "You're dumb. Get back in your car." My Subaru. That's how Colorado I was. My Subaru. I know. Yeah. You can make jokes about it if you want.
No, I mean it's like driving a Mercedes in Scottsdale.
I know. I mean I got my Birkenstocks and my
non-bougie thing.
I know.
Non-bougie
mm-hmm.
thing.
So I drove my Subaru back to Colorado, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I needed to figure it out. So I went up to Steamboat for a little bit, hung out with some friends. And then I drove down to Durango, and like the first or second day I was in Durango, I saw an ad in the paper. It said, looking for a director of marketing for a funky ski company. And I got the job that day, and I stayed in Durango.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the ski company?
Well, it's called skiboards.com. You know those little short skis people call them
Yeah.
snowblades? They're the number one distributor of them in the country, and they
Okay.
happen to be there.
Oh.
And so it was like an e-commerce business. And
The things you used to make fun of when you were on this
Oh, the
list?
things I still make fun of.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it was like swallowing a pill to be like, I work for skiboards.com.
So I'm just saying.
It was hard, like, because it was a really good job.
Yeah.
I got to travel all over. We got to do demo days. Like,
Yeah.
I got to go all over the place.
Right.
But it was.
It's the thing that every
I know that,
snowboarder or
Ryan.
skier makes fun
Yes, and there I am doing demo days. Like, let's get your ski boards on. I mean, it was, but so
of. Well, that's cool though. It was a good opportunity.
it was a good opportunity. And I got to go to all the ski shows in Vegas. It was fun. And then in 2004, we're really like dating me. I ended up getting a job at the casino. There's a big casino right outside of Durango. So I worked for the Southern Ute Indian tribe for 6 years, and I did marketing at the casino, which I loved.
So when you were with the ski board company, what did you do? Like from a marketing standpoint?
It was all over the
Everything?
place.
Did you just learn how to do it all?
I just learned how to do it all.
Okay.
But I did a little bit, like I would do fulfillment. Like if we were jammed in the back, and I would sit and pack boxes.
Right.
But
This
then,
is only like 5 years after the internet was created.
Oh, I know.
By the way, so,
Yeah, I know.
So were you doing anything like from like a technology
well, I
standpoint?
got out my brick phone.
Yeah.
No, we were, and a lot of it was building partnerships with different ski resorts. So I was in
Okay.
charge of that, doing a lot of PR, really getting the name out there. And so yeah, I mean, certainly it was web based, but a lot of it was relationship based because ski boards have a reputation.
Nerdy.
Okay, again, my check's cleared, so
No, I get
you know.
it.
But
Was
no,
that-
it was good, and then so that's what I did.
So do you think that, sorry, Ryan,
Yeah.
that job kind of set the tone for like the rest of your career? Because what you just rattled off is, very similar to a lot of stuff you do here.
I mean,
in terms of digital marketing. and-
Perhaps unknowingly, yes. Like working in this warehouse in Bayfield, Colorado, like schlocking out the ski boards. Maybe it did. I've been a people person since I was a kid. So
Really? I'm shocked.
Yeah, isn't that shocked? So perhaps, I don't know. I never thought about that.
Let me pivot for a second
Yeah.
here, though, because you keep bringing up, we didn't talk about this, you keep bringing up your dad.
Yeah.
That you grew up just with your dad.
Well,
You
no,
didn't
my
say that
parents
before.
divorced when I was a kid, and my sister and I went and lived with our dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he basically raised you by himself? Or is your mom in the picture at all, or no?
That's an interesting topic, and I don't know how much time you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 2?
Yeah,
next
episode
year.
2. Yeah, episode 2.
Okay.
But I think both for my sister and I, it's just easier to say our dad raised us than explain it.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, so, all right. Repivoting to the other area again. So, all right, so so you went back to Steamboat.
I went to Durango.
I'm sorry, you went to Durango, and then where did you end up in Arizona?
Okay, so I went to work for the casino, and I
Yep.
loved my job at the casino because it's like marketing on steroids. It was amazing. I got to plan all the promotions inside a casino. I got to do all the events. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And around this time, Buck Taylor came back into my life, and he had gotten married, and he had had 2 small children, and that marriage had ended. And he was raising these 2 babies by himself, basically. And he was kind of in my friend group. All this time, we'd had the same friend group.
Yeah.
And we'd always been really good friends. I always knew he was funny.
He's hilarious.
He is hilarious. I mean, he's just the funniest guy. And I've known him for a million years, and he's never
Does
changed.
Buck work at VIP still?
He does. He does some loans on the side.
Yeah.
And so I started helping him out, going over there, him as my friend, because he had these 2 little kids he was taking care of for a variety of reasons. He had custody of the kids, and they were like a year and 3, or they were babies. And then one thing led to another. We started dating, and then we got married. And I tell the story. I went from 0 to 3 kids in a year. Because then as soon as we got married, like I got pregnant immediately. So we had his kids, and then I went from 0 to 3 kids in a year.
Wow. And how old were you at this point?
I was 30.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd lived.
Well, that's not too
No,
young.
it was good. It wasn't.
So
It was
that's good.
perfect. And I mean, so Buck and I got married, and then and Buck works in the energy industry. He'd worked for BP.
Okay.
And like right at the start of the recession, BP turned down production, and so they laid people off. And he had a really good job, and he lost his job. Now, we were really fortunate at that time. My father-in-law owned the house we lived in. I had a really good job at the casino. Financially, we were fine, but it was hard for him. He would go, because he grew up on this big ranch, so he would go down and help, he'd do fence or do ranch stuff. He helped a buddy build a log house, but it was hard. And in 2010, he came to me and said, I got to do something else, and we're either going to have to move, or I'm going to have to go work in the oil field in North Dakota and leave the family. And so he ended up getting recruited by TEP, by Tucson Electric Power. And at that moment, I felt that the best thing to do for my husband was to support him. And I'm like, let's go to Tucson. And that's how I ended up in Tucson. And actually, the story is I'd never even been here. And he came down here. He bought a house. I never even saw the house.
The house that you live in now?
The one, we lived a few miles away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we showed up and there was a house that he bought and we moved here.
What year was that?
2010.
Okay. Damn, that wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
So I just want to say something about her house.
Because Trisha's been to my house.
Yes, I've been a house guest.
Well, great house guest, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great host.
Oh, thanks.
So I think it's worth knowing, I know Carol because she was my boss. I think
I don't think so.
notable.
I think I was more your trainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
we
it doesn't
got to
matter.
work
It doesn't
together.
Technically, she was the boss
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Semantics.
Yeah. So before I came
Semantics.
over to the Crawford team, so that's how I know
Yeah.
Carol, and she very graciously
Quit
hosted
kissing
me.
ass.
No, it was
She doesn't need to kiss my ass.
it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, do you want to stay at my house? Because I was like, hey.
Well, because your daughter's in Tucson.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was great. So I've stayed there a couple
Was
times.
Paloma already? She was in school already, right?
Yeah, she was in school.
And that was
Yeah.
part of the motivation. I think the second time I
Yeah.
was down there, we had Paloma meet us.
Yeah, we all
met-
went to dinner.
She met the whole family.
Right.
And
You were trying to set her up.
I was trying to set her up with
Yeah.
Wyatt, he was her age.
Yes.
And we tried to do
We tried to
that.
have a love connection. It didn't, yeah. Anyway.
Well, I think they liked each other. Like
Yeah.
he's super
friends.
pleasant friendship kind of thing. I think they met for coffee once or something like that. But anyway, when I went to stay at your house, you were like, okay, you gave me directions, and then like you're gonna get to a long ass gravel road driveway thing.
This sounds like a buck sort of.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
it is a buck property because you pull up.
But hold on, it's also me property. I don't think people realize that. Like, it
You
is
both
definitely.
want land.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
then
we
you're
want
outdoorsy
space.
too.
Yes.
So
Right.
you have,
yeah,
like-
it's like 4 acres, right?
Yeah, we're on 4 acres.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's
Where is it?
beautiful.
Way northeast Tucson, way up there.
So
Basically, you drive
north,
until you run into
east,
the mountain.
Tucson. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you go in, it's big, very big piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a custom home. It's really cool, but you walk in and it's like trophies.
It is-
everywhere.
it is a museum
so
of
many
natural
dead
history.
animals like mounted on the wall.
We just added
Oh.
it. Wait, and
It freaked me out.
we just added a new one.
really
Yeah, Buck caught a 650-pound marlin in Hawaii
I
over the.
s-
Yes,
I
we
saw
just
that
got
on
it. It's
Instagram.
huge, but anyway, yeah.
But it's crazy. It's like remember the zoo in Flagstaff, that bar.
Yeah, the museum. Club?
Museum. Yeah. That's what her house is like. I mean, it's very nice. It's super cool. She's got all this wildlife and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah,
but I
it's
walked
not- it's not
in,
for everybody.
And I was just like,
It's
and I
not.
hadn't met Buck yet, but I'd heard enough. And I
His
walked
name,
in,
I mean,
and I was like,
Jesus.
this is a Buck Taylor house
Yeah.
for sure.
Buck.
But very nice.
It makes sense that there's animal heads all over
Yeah.
all over the walls.
Yeah, but I think people walk in and they're like, "There's no Carol in here." But I think people that really know me, like,
Do you hunt too?
I
Or do
am
you
not a
just-
hunter.
You're a supporter of.
I'm a
of
supporter
him-
of a
him
hunter. I'm
hunting.
more of a hiker. He doesn't necessarily like me going with him. The last time I went, he turned around and said, "Jesus Christ, is there a stick you haven't stepped on?"
Yeah. So you ruin it.
I do, but I mean, Jewish girl from Chicago. I've butchered an elk in my kitchen.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you just that was natural.
Well, I took some instruction, but I mean,
It didn't bother you.
it didn't
in
bother
the
me.
least.
No, it didn't bother me. No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
It's aggressive.
It's,
I mean, I had plenty of friends that were. I just have never been into that, but I understand it and I appreciate it. It's cool.
And really,
I just-
Buck's family, it's really interesting. They were actually outfitters, so they own this big ranch in rural Colorado, and they were actually mule breeders. So they had donkeys and horses. Little trivia: mules are sterile. A donkey and a horse make a mule. A mule can't make anything.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they were outfitters. So people came from all over the world, and his family would take him on hunting trips. And starting from when Buck was a little guy, he would like lead a mule train, like a mule with like packs on it, and they would lead him up into the high country.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I always thought a mule and a donkey was the same thing.
So
no,
did I.
a horse and a donkey make a mule.
So what's an ass?
That's
Is
a
that a
donkey.
donkey?
Yeah, that's a donkey. And mules are actually better for the backcountry because they're more sure-footed. Anyway,
So the mules are what you have in down the Grand Canyon.
yeah,
Okay.
a burro.
Burro. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
All right, everybody. Now you guys are all
Yeah.
lost.
so then I came to Tucson.
Yeah. So you came to Tucson and with no job,
No,
or did you have any like?
I mean,
ideas?
I did. You know, there was a few things when I first got here, but I ended up working for an ad agency for Tucson, a big ad agency, and their biggest client was Nova Home Loans. So I used to do all the media planning and media buying and marketing strategy and things like that. And I got to know the people from Nova, and just because of the way the world works, one of my closest friends from Bayfield, from Durango, when I was getting ready to move to Tucson, she's like, I have to introduce you to my cousin. She lives in Tucson, and we just never did it. So I go to work for this ad agency. Our number one client is Nova, and I go to meet with the director of marketing, and it is my best friend's cousin.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. She goes, "So where'd you move here from?" I tell her. She goes, "Do you know?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I was just with her, and I had all these pictures on my phone." So
Wow.
I did that for a couple of years, and I worked, alongside the folks from Nova, and then they recruited me over, and I went to work for them as a marketing manager.
Have you looked at their website lately?
We were just talking about it. We were
It's-
just, it
it's
looks nice.
nice.
They just redid it. It looks
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
nice.
it looks really
Yeah.
nice.
I never went to that website because, in my opinion, it wasn't like one that we were going to try to model our business after. But this new one is very good.
It looks
very
really
well done.
nice.
So,
Looks
Yeah.
nice.
well done, Nova.
Yeah.
Well done, Nova. So you were working alongside her?
Yeah, she was my
no?
boss.
Okay. And then
And then in 2016, Jim Kaiser came calling. He managed Tucson for VIP.
mutual friend too, or how did you know Jim?
I don't know if you know Letty Huffman.
Yeah.
So he had recruited Letty, and Letty and I had a relationship because we
Okay.
both came from Nova. So when Letty left Nova for VIP, she told Jim about me. So that's how that
Gotcha.
happened. So Jim called and said, "We need some marketing," and I met with Jim. And I liked him, and I liked what he had to say, and I thought it was a good opportunity, and that's how I ended up at VIP, and now it's been 5 years.
So when you started with VIP, like what exactly were you doing for them down in Tucson?
I set up like a microcosm of a marketing department just
Okay.
in Tucson. We just put together what we needed to do. Marketing's not that hard, but this company at that time didn't really have those
Yeah.
pieces in place.
And especially since Tucson kind of was like its own entity.
It really was,
anyways,
and at that time, the number one producer in the company was in Tucson,
Yeah.
some top producers. So I built a little kind of mini marketing department just in Tucson, and then 3.5 years ago or so is when they said, we need you to do that at corporate. And I thought, just so you know, I thought about that. I'm like, damn, that's a big job. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And
I
I was
remember you having this. I haven't either.
Did-
I had this conversation.
did
with
we
you
might have-
or Jay, but one of you did tell me that you were like, I don't know, man. Like
I
people
knew-
seem to flail out.
I know. And like, I knew what it was going to take, and I knew I was going to have to bust out my Yiddish, to schlep up to Scottsdale a lot. And I just didn't know if I had it in me. And then I was like, you know what? I love a challenge. I love new. I love change. Like, I think a lot of people don't like change. I freaking love it. I love it. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And I just jumped in, and here we are.
So, what was so when you came on and you started having a conversation with Jay about this whole process? I'm assuming it was Jay, right?
Yeah, it was
Jay and
Jay.
Keith. Did you have like initial things you're like, all right, this is what
Yeah.
we need to do different.
Yeah.
This is what we need to
Yes.
change. Okay, so what were those things?
Well, first, the marketing platform that they were using is Marketing Cloud, which is the marketing plugin for Salesforce. And it's just not good. It doesn't come with any content. It's clunky. It's very difficult. I couldn't even get a drip campaign executed in 3 months. And I was like, this isn't working.
Right.
We have to do something else. So this is actually sort of interesting. Top of Mind, which is one of the top marketing platforms in the mortgage industry in the country, I knew I wanted to use them, but we use, Salesforce as our operational CRM.
Yeah.
And I said, let's use both of them. And Jay said, okay, I think, if you say it, let's do it. We were the first company in the country that did that. And now other ones have done it, where we use Salesforce as the operational CRM, but we plug in Top of Mind as the marketing platform. And I've actually gone on phone calls with other companies that Salesforce is trying to tell, or that Top of Mind is trying to say, hey, we can do this. And I tell them how we did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Pavle too, of course.
So,
So if anybody's ever received an email
Yeah.
from us,
Yeah,
it has come through
the Top of Mind system. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
you're
great.
right.
so we didn't have Top of Mind until you implemented it.
No, we didn't have
What did we
much.
have before that?
It was Marketing Cloud, and there was OSI,
Turning
and there was
Point, or-
Turning Point, which was a
Okay.
postcard every quarter. And
Okay.
we hadn't taken a step into the new millennium by any means. It was a little
Right.
antiquated. So we introduced that. We introduced some social media platforms, and we brought in some new technologies. Upgraded the team, and have continued to grow. I mean, it's my goal to always be proactive and be introducing new things, which isn't always easy
Yeah.
to do because you have so much thrown at you. But
So, what is the biggest struggle you think with LOs when you're trying to roll out stuff or get people to?
I think that communications, like for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been on the sales call 3 times. It's in the newsletter. I sent out a text. I sent out an email. How do you not know about it?
Yeah.
How do you not know this is going on? And I actually had a conversation with a loan officer yesterday about that. And he was like, okay, yes, I'm on the sales call, but if my phone rings and a loan is blowing up, the sales call goes away. I'm dealing
Yeah.
with that. He goes, so I'm not always listening. So I think it's coming up with ways to be more one-on-one. Like, you know what I need to do? I need to pick up the phone and call each branch manager and say, hey, this is what we're rolling out. I think there's ways that we can do it more effectively, because everything we're putting out there is for the the betterment of the company, to improve the customer experience. But if the loan officers don't know about it,
Right.
I'm not doing my job.
Well, one of the things that, and I'm assuming this is the same way at most companies, but adopting new things, loan officers are just bad at it. They just don't do it, and it's not. And it's,
Well,
and that's not an excuse.
I'd rather that come from you than me. But
It's true.
It is true. But also, loan officers, especially our top producing loan officers, they're busy.
Yeah.
And they already have their processes in place. And when I say, hey, I want to add this, and you're gonna have to change up your process, they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right.
And I understand that.
Yeah,
I do.
it's tough. They want it done. Basically, they just want marketing to go, okay, this is what you're doing, and say yes or no.
Well, and
That's exactly what
which is
we
exactly
do with
that's
Right.
our goal. Our goal is to
Yeah.
create this what we call an admin-led structure, where your time is better spent originating a loan than trying to figure out how to deploy an email.
Yeah.
So I want to send you a text. It says, Ryan Madrid, do you want us to send this out on your behalf to your agents? All you have to do is reply yes, and we're going to do it for you.
Yeah.
That's our goal, is to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that we continue to get better at that. Continue to keep getting better at that.
Right.
I think top of mind is from a team perspective,
Yeah.
it is the best thing you offer, because it is that easy.
It
You
is,
get an email
absolutely.
from Paula, and
Yeah.
it's like reply yes, and like three letters, and
It's
you
done.
don't have to think about
Nope,
it.
and it's done.
They handle it, and it's brilliant.
So
and the content's good.
Yeah. So
It is
everybody
good
who
content.
doesn't know what top of mind is, why don't you explain it to them?
Sure, it's a marketing platform specific to the mortgage industry, and it's a plug and play. So, like, if you're a customer and you do a loan with us, and then the loan closes, now you're on the quote unquote post close campaign, where every whatever month or whatever it is for 36 months, you're going to get something from us. You're going to get, hey, just checking in, how are you? Happy holidays, it's your loan anniversary, happy birthday. Oh, it's Valentine's Day, because there are these soft, benign touches to keep your name, keep the Ryan Madrid, the loan
Yeah.
officer name, front and center. If you get a text, we can do text messaging, we can do videos, and we also do a lot of co-branding, because we understand that for the loan officers, their most important relationships are with realtors. So we offer all kinds of tools that a loan officer can say to, hey, Joe Realtor, working with me, you get all this. I can create single property websites, and I can create a listing packet. Here's your finance flyer, and let's do a text campaign, and all the things that, really help cement that relationship.
So obviously text messaging, the open rate is better than email.
It is. Well,
Okay.
think about it. I mean,
Right.
think of how you do business.
Yeah. This is why I'm asking the question. It's like, with Stu, even with like, people, old school people, they just it's email, right? Email. So they think that that's probably the best way of doing things. So why don't we do way more text messaging stuff as opposed to email? And mind you, we
do.
probably do.
Yeah, we do. I mean,
do.
the
That's the
last few
same?
campaigns we've done via text and email.
And
Okay.
but I think you raise an interesting point, that there are some loan officers that are old school, and it's really hard to convince them otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, I can create a whole campaign for you that's multifaceted, that maybe includes text and email and video, and we touch on a little bit. A lot of loan officers, they don't want to get their hands dirty. They're like, just send out emails, because
Right.
it's just easier.
Because now it's got to come back to their phone instead of to the.
Yeah, and there's a little more to it. You have to get a
Yeah.
texting number. You
Yeah.
have to be a little more responsive. So
Right.
there's a little more to it, and I understand that, but it is more effective.
Yeah. And analytics, I think that's probably what they need, right? Those guys that won't do it, if they saw the numbers and said, 86% of
Yeah, and
every
it's-
text message gets opened.
It's
but
interesting
10
because Stuart and I went through that recently. I think maybe you were on the emails, that he was asking about some of the campaigns we do, and he wanted to see the analytics, and I showed it to him, and he's like, "Wow, I didn't even know." I mean, it was good at, and
Yeah.
that was actually just email. But yeah, a lot of times you just have to show it to him, like,
Yeah.
this campaign, you have this many people on it. This is your open rate, and
You know what's really compelling is when you have that one LO who has adopted it, and he's seen like crazy good results,
Yeah.
and then the other LOs are like, wait a second,
Right.
what's he doing? He's got an 86% open rate. I want to test.
Who's the best in our company at like adopting all the things that you roll out?
Rob Purvis.
Purvis?
He'll do it all.
Yeah.
He's like, yep, whatever you want to do, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a funny answer, because you're like, wow, that's a big producer. He's really busy, but he never says no.
Yeah.
He's always like, yep, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Do it.
Fremo and Payne are pretty.
And I was going to say,
Great, too.
and then Scott Bashar.
Oh, yeah.
Scott's like, I'll do it all. Whatever you want me
Yeah.
to do, I'll do it all. And Jason Fremo, you're right. Aaron Payne, the guys at Tempe. But
Well, that's good to know, because from like an internal standpoint, for people who listen to this podcast that work here, he has the most units in our company.
He does.
So he does the most units out of Tucson. Scott has only been doing this for like 2 years.
And he's made President's Club.
He's going to be like $50 million producer this year.
He is.
And Fremo is also going to be
he's like doubled his business since he's come here.
Producer.
Yeah.
Who was the other person you said?
Aaron Payne.
Aaron Payne's business has grown dramatically too. So everybody get off your ass and use some of the stuff, I guess, apparently.
Yeah.
That's including me, I guess, Stu, Jeremy, our team. But we are.
We are.
Yeah,
I don't
you are.
see a lot of this stuff.
I think you're
because
probably
Trisha's doing
using
it,
more
yeah.
than you're aware of.
Yeah.
That for sure.
Yeah, and we say that to people all the time. Like, I'm not doing anything. We're like, hold on, we're going to show you what you're doing. And the whole point is you don't even know about it. It's all happening behind the scenes.
One of the things, though, because we're doing real talk, I'm going to talk. One of the things that I can't stand, though, is that I get 3 different messages for any campaign we do because I've done loans.
But don't you know why? Because we've looked into that. You have like 3 different household accounts.
Right. Well, one of them's Chris Martin.
Oh yeah, from Coldplay. Yeah, because someone was doing like a test thing.
No,
on you.
there's a Chris Martin from Fairway.
Oh, well, I
that we were recruiting at one point.
Wait, we can't recruit Chris Martin from Coldplay?
I would
just throwing that out there.
Either one.
Yeah.
It'd be fine. I'd make more money off the guy from Fairway, but but I think it's because I had put him probably in the system incorrectly.
Yeah.
Well,
I get a Robert, I get a Ryan, and I get a Chris.
But that's why. But
that's on us.
But what you can do is you can unsubscribe. So you could
on the email.
On the email and on the text.
Okay.
So and we also could clean that up.
Yeah, we could.
I mean, that's one of the biggest struggles.
Well, Paul told me he's had the hardest time ever trying to figure out how to get rid of the Chris Martin one.
That's really just unsubscribe.
So anyway,
that's all you have to do. Yeah,
just saying.
Unsubscribe.
Everything else is great.
Yeah, it's great except Chris Martin.
Yeah, except for Chris Martin. So what do you got? What is like the newest thing that we're doing, or your team is doing, and
so we recently launched the app, and I know that there was a lot of loan officers like, oh my God, I'm not going to use it. Yeah. It's amazing, and it's not so much. I know that for loan officers, it's hard because you have to change your process up a bit, but it's so much better for the customer experience, and then especially for that first payment information. Mm-hmm. So we're really pushing the app, and I actually had a strategy planning meeting today with Jay and Jack and Keith talking about some things for 2022. I always keep my eye out for new technologies. I'm always open, and then a lot of times loan officers will bring products to us, and we vet them and decide if it works, for what we're doing or not.
So what has been the biggest problem with the app?
Really, you had to ask me that.
Well, I mean,
so there's been some issues, and we're just working through it, and it just happens when you launch new technology. Like if you go into the app, so the app is not like the McDonald's app. You can't just be a regular person and download it. You either have to be a current customer, a realtor, or a loan officer. Yeah. So that's one of our biggest things. If people are like, I downloaded it and I can't get into it, I'm like, I know, because you're not a customer, a realtor, or a loan officer. It's built for one of those. So that's been something we continually have to explain. And then if you've done a past loan, you can't see that information in the app. It's only going to show you the most recent information. So there's people that have been like, I can't do that. So, there's been some kinks we're working through, but I think it's going good.
So what are the best things about having that app?
The whole app started because we wanted to improve the servicing aspect, where it seemed like the number one phone call that loan officers were getting was where to make your first payment. So the initial idea from the app came from solving that problem. Let's figure out, let's digitize where people can make their first app. And then we figured out you can do the whole application, you can do push notifications, so it grew from there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So most of the companies that, actually I don't even know, I'm assuming that our competitors have an app.
Yeah, most of them do what we do, which is instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to build your own, you find one you like and you white label it, and that's what we did. And then you can do some customization. I do think actually Fairway has their own that's very detailed, and it's a really nice app.
It is a good app.
Yeah, it is a good app. But ours, I think ours is coming along. It's doing good, and we're happy with the product. So
good. It's just a part of the technology path, right? Spear took forever.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to use or even look at Spear for a long time. So,
but now there's people like I couldn't live without it. That's
mostly everybody that uses it like we couldn't live without it.
Right.
So it takes time to kind of get where it needs to go, and that's it.
I'd like to bring up a good point for the customization. I think talking about like the technology on the developer side too. Like, how do you work with like the tech people, right? Pavle and like that's pretty interesting because you go beyond just like the marketing that people think of, right?
Yeah.
You dig deep.
We do, because a lot of what we do, it all has to be connected. It all has to be integrated. So Pablo, who is the smartest person in the room wherever he is, you know Pablo, he's amazing. I always bring him in. I'm like, Pablo, I need help.
Ryan hired him, or
I
Ryan
know.
brought him over.
Like for the app, it wasn't just building an app. We had to integrate Flowify. We had to integrate Encompass because all the loan data feeds in from Encompass. So it's working all those systems together. And like, I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. Like that's not my my wheelhouse.
Right.
So I know who to bring in. I know when to bring him in. And that's why, I mean, I think one of the really good things about VIP is we have the right people in place to solve those problems.
Right.
You know?
And people that are willing to work
Oh, yeah.
hard.
100%.
And they're like, Pablo will do anything you ask him to do.
I love him. He's amazing.
So that story is amazing. We'll talk about off camera one time. So Trisha, you have a rapid fire for us?
do.
Break it up a little bit here.
Name one lesson you've learned the hard way.
Name one lesson you've learned the hard way.
You can pass. I have got like
No,
10
it's
others.
interesting because I don't have anything that came to mind. I absolutely should. How about don't take your health for granted?
That's a good one, right? You've had a couple health
yeah.
related issues.
A couple. I was just telling you about my shockingly high cholesterol. I was like 3 days away from a stroke.
Oh, I didn't.
No, I'm joking about that, but that's how I felt because it was so
like,
high.
Holy crap!
No,
I think I would have remembered.
But I was out for a day with my stroke. No, it was so high, and I'm like, I'm dying. So.
Did you feel bad? So you went in?
Oh, I
or
felt
did you have
terrible. No.
blood work?
I just had some blood work done, and my doctor's like, "Here's the deal, it's bad," and I was overweight, and he said, it was bad. It was a terrible doctor's visit, and he's like, "I'm going to refer you." This was in August, by the way. This wasn't that long ago. Wow. And he said, "I'm going to refer you to a bariatric surgeon." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm going to end up on like my 600-pound life. Like I'm going to end up immobilized, like eating pizza."
Why a bariatric surgeon?
Because I've struggled with my weight. So he was like, maybe that's what you need to do. So I kept crying and I went home and I said, "Oh my God, I got to have weight loss." He's like, "That is the stupidest thing for you." He goes, let me tell. And this is what's so good about my husband because he's so black and white. He said, so you have this surgery, right? And you have to go on a diet, don't you? I'm like, I guess. He's like, you got to have like a liquid diet and then you can only, so you still have to watch what you eat, right? It's not a magic thing. And I said, right. He goes, so why don't you just go on a diet? And I've lost 40 pounds since August.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look great.
Yeah. So that was.
Well, Buck was a big dude too.
Oh, Buck's 6'5", about 300 pounds. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's smaller than he was.
Yeah, he lost some weight too. Absolutely.
So what did you
He lost
do?
a lot of weight.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you just like? Did you change like your routine on what you eat,
No,
or is it really diet?
I'm on a diet. I was actually on a program.
Oh, okay.
And because for me, it couldn't, just because I've had eating issues, it couldn't just, it has to be something that I'm like, I have to change my mindset and I have to look at it a little differently because it's a little different for me. So I'm on a program. And
How is it different for you?
Well, so I had an eating disorder, and I had an eating disorder for a long time, and I'm open about it. I don't even get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, I had to go through treatment and whatnot, and then, so I was really skinny for a long time, and then when I finally, kicked it, I gained weight. I'm like, well, I guess I'm better gaining weight than the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, I think we all have our struggles, and it's been hard for me because I'm like, man, I'm so successful in all these areas of my life, and I can't get my freaking pants to fit. And, really, if you break it down, you know? And so it was really difficult. And, you just have to get to that point where I'm like, okay, I'm 45 years old. I've got high cholesterol. I'm getting recommended to weight loss surgeons. My God, Carol, freaking put down the fries. It's not that hard. I'm not like an idiot, you know? Yeah. I do love bagels, but not right now.
So talk to me about the diet, though. So what do you do?
So I'm on this program where you get 5 fuelings a day, and it's their food, and you have 30 to 40 snacks you can pick, and each of them is 100 calories. So you're supposed to have 5 of those a day, and then you have one what they call a lean and green meal, which is a certain amount of protein and then vegetables, and that's all I eat.
Wow.
Yeah, but
so
it's not that bad.
Snacking all day, but on good
stuff.
Yeah,
I guess, but I'm just dialed in. It is what it is, and this is how I'm eating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my brain is in the right place with it.
Right. It's tough because the food delivery services and stuff, those aren't cheap, first of all. And eventually you get kind of sick of those meals. Yeah. And then the whole meal prepping thing is a grind. You've got to be super dedicated and focused. But I think when you get to a point when you're like, shit, dude, this is going to
like this is
my
affecting
health
my
is
yeah.
not good.
Yeah,
it's not just vanity
it
anymore.
is
Right.
like I
It's
make
like
jokes about it, but
yeah.
that's what it was. It was
Right.
like a slap in the face. Like
Right.
for several years, I've been like kind of making jokes about it, but then when I'm like faced with, oh my god, I got to take cholesterol pills seriously, like that's where I'm at, and I'm just not willing to accept that.
Right.
It's one thing if you have a disease and nothing you can do about it,
Yeah.
but if you have something that you can affect, you've got to try.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's weird. For me, I had the same. So this year was the first year ever that I had high cholesterol. It's not like crazy, but it was
Do you want to see who's
bad
higher?
enough. I'm pretty sure yours is higher.
Okay.
Based upon your
Wait a
reaction.
second.
Based upon your reaction, unless it was a massive overreaction.
No, I don't think it was.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it came down to stop. I'm a huge candy guy. Like it's like
Red Vines.
it's like crack to me.
Oh, I do like red vines.
So like I gotta get. For me, it's like not eating candy, which I ebb and flow with that. I mean, I had 3 different bags of candy the other day that I went to the store and got like all like for no reason by myself in the middle of the day, and I ate them all. But breads and candy for me, it's like I love chips. I can eat chips
and genetics
crackers
play
and
into it.
freaking-
Like
yeah.
genetics, and it runs in my family.
I was
so.
actually surprised it took this long because both of our parents had high cholesterol.
Yeah.
And forever, as long as I can remember.
You were just
so.
waiting for it to come down.
Yeah. So
High cholesterol is good.
is it?
Yeah.
Well,
At least a year ago when I had my blood
Well,
work.
that's great for you, Trisha.
cool bragger.
Yeah, bragger. Ooh, look at me with my good cholesterol. Ooh.
So do your family history,
Yes.
your
my family with my cholesterol.
cholesterol and other stuff?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
We share a
Yeah, we share an unfortunate common bond that both of our fathers died of pancreatic cancer. My dad died 6 days after he was diagnosed.
Okay, so
ours
same
is
as
Yeah.
ours.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long ago was that?
2007. So
Okay.
my son was born July 31st, and my dad died August 8th.
Wow.
So I had an infant, I had a
Okay.
3-year-old, I had a 6-year-old, and then my dad died.
Wow.
Yeah, in Chicago. So I had to like leave Colorado and be in Chicago, and it was a nightmare, just a nightmare.
What was Dad's date of when did he die?
Isn't that weird how you remember those dates?
June
Because it was like Sloan,
3rd, right? Oh no,
Sloan,
mom.
Sloan's the 23rd.
Dad was
I know.
April 30th.
It was April 30th.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause she was in
Amazing.
utero.
So Sloan was just born like a couple months later.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
and
Because I remember you told Dad, you whispered in his ear when he was in hospice,
Yeah,
Sloane's name.
Oh, my
Yeah.
He wanted to know the name
Yeah.
of the baby.
ours was interesting. My dad was diagnosed on a Thursday, and he was supposed to be getting married on Saturday.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
Where's she at?
don't care.
Okay, there we go. That was an easy answer.
I had to censor myself
Black
on
and
that
white.
one.
Talk about
Yeah,
butt
don't.
being black and white. Carol's black and white too.
Yes, don't care. When
Okay.
my father passed away, she offered me a mug.
Wait a second. If they weren't married yet, why was she offering you anything?
My
I mean, why
father,
was she entitled to?
well, we're going to go real deep. My father had made, I mean, he didn't just get cancer and die 6 days later. He'd been dying of cancer. And by the time he was diagnosed, it was in his brain. And the last 6 months of his life, he made really bad decisions.
Like,
Holy cow.
like a
And
state
He made
decision?
very,
Okay.
very
Oh
poor
my
decisions.
gosh.
And, but you know what? You go through that and you can't hold on to that anger.
Yeah.
I was so angry. I was so angry, but I had these little kids. I had a job, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're going to walk around angry? So I had to let it go. So
Yeah.
my
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good
And
for you.
Yeah.
That's
Time to heal.
Yeah, and a lot of therapy.
Yeah. Well,
I have another
therapy.
rapid fire question.
Yeah. I did take the mug, by the way.
Good. Good.
Good.
So I'm going to lighten the mood here.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a high schooler? Since you have, kids now that are, how is Ace 13?
Ace is 14,
14.
Jake 17, and Wyatt's 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would I give a high schooler?
So not necessarily your kids, but
Yeah, what advice would I give my kids or just
a
general
mystery
kids?
high
Just in
school.
general.
Yeah.
I would like to give them advice to do better with money and to be smart with their money.
It's great advice.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you could go a little deeper into that, but I think that would be my advice.
I feel like everybody that's has any sort of influence in like social media talks about this. Like, even if they went to college, they got a master's degree, a PhD, whatever. It always goes back to like why are we learning so much about things that that doesn't have any
Why are you
effect
learning
in your
algebra?
life.
Why don't you learn
Right.
about investing
Financial
and
literacy.
your
So
credit
financial
score?
literacy,
I
it
know.
seems to be
Financial
like,
literacy.
What in the hell? It's like,
Trey, you took financial.
why are we
didn't you?
not doing this?
I don't know. And
It makes no sense.
I don't know. So
I sure as shit still could use a financial literacy
Yes.
class. So let's talk just a little bit before we wrap up here. So you live in Tucson and corporates in Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect you as far as like your day-to-day business
well,
life?
I bought a brand new truck in 2019 with 0 miles, and it's almost at 60,000. So there you go.
So financial literacy. That's called upside down
Yeah.
on your car.
And it's not the most gas efficient vehicle either.
Yeah.
I drive a pickup truck. So
Of course you do.
Of course I
You
do.
got to put the elk somewhere.
The elk doesn't go in my truck.
Oh,
It's a nice truck.
It is a nice truck. So I try and be up here one day this week. This week I'm actually up here 3 days just because of the way it worked out. But when I agreed to take this job, I said I need to be present.
yeah.
So I'm up here whenever I need to be. Whenever I'm asked to be, I'm here.
Okay. So it's just the communication with the team. It's just, I mean, nowadays obviously it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but-
my marketing team, we have a Zillow. We have a Zillow. we have a Zillow meeting. We have a Zoom meeting every morning at 8:30, and sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes. We talk about everything that's going on. We're on Slack all day. So even though we're all in different locations, we're still in very good communication because you have to be.
Yeah.
I didn't even meet half the team the whole time I worked
Yeah.
with them, but I felt like I knew them
'Cause you
we
see 'em
talked a
every
million
day.
times a day
Yeah.
and saw them every morning.
Well, I mean, we're pretty big now. The company's big.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have. I mean, I know that some branches have like a liaison and stuff like that, but I mean, you're pretty much handling this stuff for every single one of the. Even if they do have a liaison, they're still handling for every LO.
plus all the
How many
JVs.
LOs do we have now?
We have roughly 200, give or take.
Yeah.
Licensed loan officers originating is probably like 130.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
there's something to do every moment of every day. If you really wanted to, you could be working kind of nonstop.
yes.
So do you need more staff?
It was funny. I mean, as we continue to grow, especially with the JVs, because every time we add a JV, we have a whole new company we have to brand that we have to do all different marketing for. So we could always use more people, but I'm a really big fan of running lean and mean because I know how this market and I know this industry works, and I don't want
Yeah.
marketing to be on the chopping block. So
Right.
I'd prefer that we are very busy all the time than we have a larger team and some of us are less busy. I'm a firm believer in that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for all the like LOs out there that maybe aren't taking advantage of what we have to offer here at VIP, and obviously besides the fact that we just kind of promoted the fact that some of the top producers in this company are killing it because of the
Yeah.
marketing department. So what sort of, I know you go when you go on the sales call and you talk about stuff,
And
but
people tune
like
me out.
if you had like the opportunity to like one-on-one with every single one of them, what would you just say, like do your little elevator pitch basically?
For the marketing department?
Yeah.
That if you're not taking advantage of the marketing department, you're leaving business on the table. That just meet with us, just talk to us, let us know what you want to do, and let us do it for you. That's all. That's that simple. Just give us the thumbs up, and we're going to do it for you.
Right.
But that if you don't take that initiative, or you're like, no, I don't want to do that, or I'm doing it, you're never going to grow. I mean, the proof is basically
Yeah.
in the pudding for the people that we
Yep.
talked about
Yep.
with their growth.
Right. Quit being so stubborn.
Quit being so stubborn.
Basically,
Yes.
the old hats need to change your ways a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like since a lot of the LOs are they're financial professionals, right? Do you think that they have a hard time getting marketing?
Oh yeah, I mean, just like, but I look at it very objectively that I don't really get loans all the time. I'm like, what, conforming arms?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't always agree with me.
100%.
Yeah, so I'm pretty cognizant and pretty aware that they're not necessarily going to, and I don't want to say I dumb it down because that's insulting, but I talk about it in a way I think that they can understand because they're not marketing people.
Right.
Because all I want to do is help them. All I want to
Yeah.
help you do is grow your business. So give me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I find that like salespeople and people in the financial services world, it's so removed from like creative.
It is.
So yeah, it is a tough concept. Marketing is so like ubiquitous.
Yeah.
People
It
think marketing
is.
is a logo or an ad, right? And it's like a zillion times bigger than that.
It's so much about the not understanding that it, like going like, oh well, it's going to make me money today, like a loan was. Well, how much money am I going to get off of you doing this thing for me? It's like people need to see like the return on investment like immediately, or understand like how everything works, because especially, I mean, these guys for sure, a lot of the people here, they just don't get it
It's
No.
a long
from
game.
a marketing standpoint.
For sure.
Yeah, it is a long-
Marketing and
no.
branding are not immediate.
You're right.
Like,
It's-
advertising is immediate, theoretically,
But-
but marketing
It's different.
is different.
Yeah. Well, you heard it, everybody. Talk to Carol, please.
Or their
Get
reps.
Jay off her
Yeah.
back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Marketing
like,
reps.
So I'll just say this. So for our venture, you know, we have we spoke with a company to do some things, and we're like, marketing can do all those things for us for I wouldn't say free, but
We're
you're
cheap.
here,
Yeah.
right? Why take it to, you know? I don't think
Outside agency.
I didn't know all those things that we were going through, and I should have. And I've been here for 9 years.
But it's part of the it's not necessarily in your wheelhouse to know all of it
Right.
either, you know?
So
That's
if you
the
don't
truth.
know, and you don't know, you should be communicating with marketing, communicating and trying to figure this stuff out, because it's really ridiculous, especially right now when rates are still low. Like, not taking advantage of every opportunity to make more money and get more business is just kind of ridiculous. And we're all guilty of doing dumb stuff and not taking advantage of things we need to be taking advantage of. So
Yes.
that's my sales pitch for
Thank
the
you.
marketing department. Get on it and do it. And yeah. So anything else you want to do before we wrap this up, Trisha, as far as a rapid fire again? Or I think we're good to go, or what?
I'll find a rapid fire here.
What about the
High school?
Yeah, that's what I was
High
gonna
school. Awesome or terrible? You kind of went into this a little bit at the very beginning, but was it a great experience or did it suck? I mean, obviously you were trying to get out of there.
I was trying to get out of there. I don't know. It was mediocre. I went
Yeah.
to a really big high school.
What were you into?
Getting out of there? Jews? I don't know. No, actually, this won't surprise you. I had a radio show and I was on the debate team.
Yeah, not surprised at all. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yep.
very cool.
Stuart and Jeremy were they went to nationals for DECA.
Oh yeah, my sister has a friend that
That's
went
debate
to
too, right?
My,
That's
yeah,
debate?
my
That's
sister.
marketing.
The DECA? No, it's
Isn't
no, it
DECA
isn't.
debate?
DECA's debate.
Oh,
That's
that's
debate.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
DECA's debate.
My sister
All
had a
right.
friend that went to Emory University on a debate scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's debate, Trish. I don't know of any schools in the 90s that were doing marketing
Here,
competitions.
okay,
around the
and
country.
here's a little bit of trivia. You know the movie Uncle Buck?
Mm-hmm.
It was filmed at my elementary school.
Wow. John Candy? Mm-hmm. Okay.
It was from my elementary school. And so was like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Breakfast Club and Home Alone. All those were filmed where I grew up.
John Hughes.
All the John Hughes movies.
Wow.
Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, yeah.
You can rent a room at the Home Alone home for $25 a night at Airbnb. Saw that yesterday.
Really? Because that house is like
All right, Trisha, what is it?
DECA Incorporated. I was right. DECA prepares emerging
I thought it
leaders
was-
and entrepreneurs
I
in
thought it was
marketing,
debate.
finance, hospitality, and management in high schools and colleges around the
But
globe.
is there,
It's-
do they
but-
debate things?
They go and they present like
Okay.
they pitch basically. They sell a product. They take a product from development all the way to market.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
that was Cobra Corner,
presentation.
right? Like our our DECA department, our club ran Cobra Corner at our high school.
And I will start just because this is funny because we grew up in such different worlds. Because we were talking about this before. My husband did not have indoor plumbing until he was 10, and they had an outhouse in the winter in Colorado.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Why?
They didn't have money, so they didn't have money.
But they were like rural. They had tons
Col-
of land.
So they had tons of land. So there was tons of space to go to the bathroom, just not inside. And and for his senior prom, they had a huge bonfire and they burned the outhouse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
They
On
kept
purpose?
it for those 8 years while it wasn't being used. You said he got
I
plumbing
don't
at 10,
yeah,
right?
I think it was still there for emergency uses.
Did
maybe,
he have
I
an
don't know.
amazing childhood?
You know,
being
it's
out in that
it's so
space?
interesting because like I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, it sounds horrible, and he has like the best memories. He's like,
it
oh
sounds-
no.
Besides that part, I mean, you know, typically those people are they're in adventure at every moment.
Every
they got
moment.
stuff to do,
and they can do anything,
whatever you
build
want.
anything, fix
Yeah,
anything.
resourceful.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I come from a family of people who called people. Like
Yeah.
they didn't. They did it all. So yeah, very
That's
very
awesome.
different. Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause, Buck's always like building cars and stuff too,
Yeah,
right?
he
And
is.
he's a gearhead on top
He's
of a
currently
Hunter.
yeah
and
he's currently building my son a 1978 Dodge Ram Charger.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
Your son's lucky.
he's 14. It's his second car.
Jesus.
The first
So
one.
it was Buck's cars, basically.
The first
Buck's
one, he
Dodge
bought him
cars.
a 1985, I think a Dodge Shelby Challenger or something, and they got into it and decided they didn't like it, so now they got number 2.
Wow.
What a cool experience though as a father-son. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Is your son learning all the stuff with
Oh
him?
my God, he can do it. He's 14.
Really?
When
Wow.
yeah, like I'll come outside, they're covered in grease and there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, they love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Mm-hmm. That is awesome.
He's
Yeah.
a cool kid too.
He is a cool kid.
So the very first time I met him, you
Oh,
brought
Ace?
him to work, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it was a
Day off or something.
right? And so you guys were sitting in the conference room, right near our cubicles. And I come back to my desk after I'm gone for a little while, and you guys had left, so he didn't get a chance to say goodbye. So he writes on a Post-it note, "So nice to meet you. Here are some M&Ms." He left
Yeah.
me a packet of M&Ms that he got at the vending machine and like 72 cents in change, and just said, see you.
Yeah.
It was like such a bizarre, but
He's a good kid.
Future DECA guy sounds like
Yeah.
Trisha.
Yeah,
He's
That's marketing.
he's funny. He definitely has like both you guys.
He's a
Carol
funny
and Buck
kid.
mixed, so
Cool. Well, what's his name?
Ace.
That's his legal
Shout
name.
out to Ace, everybody.
Oh, that's his legal name?
His legal name is Ace.
Ace.
Yeah, Ace and Buck.
Ace and Buck, those are good names.
And Wyatt and Jake, yeah. And Grandma Carol. Yeah,
Not
anyway.
Grandma
Carol,
yet.
that's real.
No, not
I'm
yet.
like,
But it's
no,
just
no,
it's
no,
just such
no.
an
I
old
was gonna say,
lady name.
what?
No,
Yeah.
no. It's just such an old
That's
lady name.
funny.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for coming on.
thank you for
Sorry
having
for
me.
being late.
It's all right.
Everybody, just a shout out to George W. Bush out there. We hung out today before I came on this show.
Ryan's buddy George W.
But yeah, I did see him today, and that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
But
So this is when I hope that we're going to really, Carol, you need to market this episode internally. I think this
I
is
will.
a really, really good one for the people who work here.
I think that's a really good idea. I wish I knew someone that did marketing.
we need
Yeah.
to do this. We need to be doing these we need to market all of ours internally.
Yeah.
I agree.
Stuart dropped today in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually listened to that episode for the first time in months today when I was driving into
Wow.
work. It was good for our first
For
one.
our first one, yeah.
It was pretty good. Stu's
cool.
great with the microphone.
That's awesome. Good. Well, again, thank you so much,
Thank
Carol
you.
Taylor from VIP Mortgage. She is the CMO. And thank you to Trey and Trisha. Thanks, VIP, again, for this awesome space. And follow us on all the social media platforms, Real Talk with Ryan Madrid, and on YouTube. So this is audio and video. So we need people to watch these, like I say every time. So please go on, like and subscribe, and share with all your friends, families. If you're my friend and you're not helping me, then that's not very cool. I don't appreciate that at all.
And they're not really your friend.
Then they're not really my friend. So anyways, please take a listen to these. Everybody at VIP Mortgage, please listen to this one specifically, because this is going to help you out and grow your business and make you more money, right? So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
VIP Mortgage Incorporated does business in accordance with the Federal Fair Lending Laws, NMLS ID 145502. For state-specific licensing, please visit www.vipmtginc.com/national-licenses/. VIP is not acting on behalf of or at the direction of the FHA, HUD, or the federal government. VIP is an equal housing lender.